welcome back. It's Al. I know I haven't posted in a long time, but there has been a lot of life changes, and I just want to post when I feel inspired and creative. And right now is that time. The route I want this channel to take is probably unconventional because most YouTube channels are based off of one thing, like challenge videos, which is why I have been doing, or try it's and crafts or exploring. And I really am not branded to one thing. I don't want to be. So what I want to do is create content that inspires me at that time. And right now I've been heavily influenced by the craftier sewing side of YouTube. So that's what I want to do, is kind of share some of my knowledge of what I've learned, because I love sewing, and that's something I've done for a long time. We're going to ignore the fact that I look trashy. We're going to ignore the fact that I'm still recording off of an iPhone. I have no mics, and the craft room that I have right now is not entirely set up because I am moving in with my friend AJ, who you have seen in past videos with me. We are moving into a house together, and that needed a little bit of love. So it's winter. We cannot finish this craft room until spring or summer. So as always, we're just going to deal with what we got. Besides the point, what I wanted to do today is show you how to make corn bags or rice bags, depending on what you have in your house. So what a corn or rice bag is, for those of you who don't know, is just a bag filled with dried rice or corn that you can pop into the microwave and heat up, and then take it to bed with you to stick on your toes, or I like to put it on my back, say if my back is really sore, even when you're watching TV. So it's good for people who don't have central heating, which is this house, because it's really old. I use corn bags or rice, depending if it's super cold or not. Don't use popping corn if you are going to make these, because you do stick them in the microwave, and you don't want a bag of popcorn because that's not going to retain heat. So you want something that's just dried. Rice will heat up faster is what I've found, but it doesn't retain heat for a long time. The corn would retain heat for a longer time. So I've made two. This one, which is a nice pretty red and gray plaid, which is actually the same material I've patched my overalls with. Anyway, usually it's more desirable to use a soft fabric. So this is kind of fuzzy, and this I thought would be fun to use. This fabric, it looks like I took a swatch of Cookie Monster's fur, but I thought this fabric would have been really nice to use because it's soft and it's thick. My poor sewing machine nearly died trying to sew this up, because if you see, it's you have where the wefts and weaves all meet, and then it's fluff on both sides instead of just one. So there's really no right or wrong side to this fabric. So this doubled up to create your seams is really quite thick, and my poor sewing machine chugged and chugged. Besides the point, I would suggest using something thinner than this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to make one of these so you can keep your toes and body warm during the winter, because winter sucks. What you're going to need is rice, and I have a ladle for reasons you will find out later. Okay, so we found our new fabric friend, and what you basically want to do is cut it to the size you want. I guess you could pin it, but I don't, just because I can sew it. It's simple enough for me that I can sew it without needing to pin it. So if you cut it on a fold, you're only going to need to sew 2 sides. Then you're going to leave this top side open so you can put the rice in or corn into the bag and then fold it back over to top stitch it down. So now what I'm just doing is cutting a long rectangular shape of the approximate width of the square I want my bag to be. So I've cut my shape. It is a little bit crooked, but as they say, that'll all come out in the wash once we start to sew it. So you're gonna fold it like this, and then that one side right here is your fold. And then, like I said before, we're just going to stitch along. I'm probably going to stitch along this side and one of either this or this side, and leave one of these smaller edges open, then to fill it with rice, and then we'll stitch it back up. Now I'm just going to line up my seams as best as possible and start sewing, throwing in a couple of back stitches at the beginning and end of my seams so they stay in place nicely. So I've stitched my sides. Like I said, it was cut crooked, so the seams are a little uneven, but you can trim those up, and that's why I said it would all come out in the wash anyway. So now we're just going to flip it. And that creates your little pouch for you to stuff it with rice. And like I said, you could either just sew it down flat like this, or what you could do, it's hard to do that like both at a time. Scared the crap out of me. I got a phone call. Sorry about that. I don't even remember where I was, so we're gonna start over. Take the corner of your bag, fold it like this, both sides about the same length, and tuck them in. And then that creates the seams going inwards. And then you just top stitch it down. Or you could sew it by hand and whip stitch it all down, which would close it up like that. Just depends on how you want to finish it and the time and effort you're willing to put into it. All depends. So this is what I meant by you'd understand why I have a ladle. Because if I stick my hand in there, you only get so much rice. And yada, yada, yada. I'm sure there's easier ways of doing this, but this is what my brain has come up with. To be honest, I don't even really know if I'm in frame right now. So if you fill it all the way, the rice then has nowhere to move around. So the rice bag isn't malleable, so it won't like wrap around you like a nice little hug or whatever. So don't fill it all the way. Honestly, this would probably be enough rice to just call it good and sew it up. But since I have so little left, I'm gonna just throw it in there. Come on, sit. Okay, so apparently this whole segment of me stitching it down didn't record because, you know, life happened. So I did end up just tucking the corners in like I had said and stitching it down. If you're not used to sewing, I would suggest pinning this. Seams got crooked and wonky and whatever. But he's nice and full since I used the last of my rice. And he's a thick boy. very squishable. Maybe you could use these as like stress balls or whatever. Like I said, like these thicker materials aren't as nice to sew with the sewing machine, but they're nicer to feel. And the thinner one is much easier to work with around the machine because, again, my machine did not like that and wanted to die on me. So that's that. Like, I see you. I see all 8 of you, my lovely little followers. And I'm just going to continue doing content that makes me fun. That's fun to me. But, oh boy. I don't think I'll ever not be awkward in front of a camera. Either way, thank you for watching. Tell me what you thought, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. But say la vie or whatever the hell I say. Also, you don't want to fully fill your bag with rice. You want to make it like a Lay's potato chip bag where they say it's full but it's not really full and you got like half amount of air. That's what you want to do with this, because I will not brag, but I do have some experience sewing. Oh, that sounds so conceited.